Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another 2026 review. Today, we are taking a look at the very anticipated 2026 Metal James. I've got to get used to not saying diecast. It is literally just Thomas & Friends Metal James. So here we go, taking a look at the brand new James packaging. Guys, what do we think? First off, I'm going to go out and say that this James face is better than the James face from Mattel's original CGI series. I'm just going to call it the CGI series, and then the future show is going to be called the Reboot. So Reboot James face is better than the CGI series James face. I will stand on that. I will not take back that take. This face is better. It's a fresh new look for James. James in the CGI series was insufferable, annoying, cringe, hard to watch, horrible voice choices and voice actors. I am really praying this James has a good voice, because then James would have been fixed. Hopefully Mattel fixes James in the reboot here. So, addressing the face, I like the face, a positive on that. Otherwise, James looks good in the render, not much to say right there. We have the Viaduct, of course, the classic packaging, but as you know, I did review a lot of these small diecast engines, so I have the first pack already complete, and now I'm moving on to the second pack here, the deluxe pack. On the back here, we have the deluxe pack I just spoke of, Henry, James, Gordon, Annie, and Thomas, Toad and Oliver, created by Brett Allcroft. This is being sold for $8.63. Now, an engine I'm really excited to get in person is Oliver and Toad, because, well, brand new Toad, brand new Oliver, that's pretty hype. I'm also very excited to unbox Henry, which I also have as well. Henry, this could probably be the best diecast Henry ever released. But anyways, we're talking about James here. Yeah, so that is the entire packaging. Not much more to say there. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the brand new James render, though. Do you like this face more? Do you dislike it? I think it's a major upgrade from the CGI series. Major upgrade. But without further ado, I have my scissors off to my right here. So let's slowly open up this packaging and take a look at the brand new James. So, as you can tell, the vibe in these videos, this video is already more positive, because the motorized line is an absolute mess. The diecast line is much, much better. And all of you in the comments saying, man, by the way, Thomas fans can be, there's a lot of you watching who are incredibly insufferable and don't really use your common sense and logical thinking. The motorized line can look good, but the line objectively sucks if the toys don't work. I don't care how it looks. When it's a battery-powered toy, it's supposed to work properly, smoothly, be worth the money. Toys that don't work objectively suck. I don't care if it looks good. Yeah, I agree. The new motorized line, Thomas, the new Thomas and a lot of the motorized engines, Percy and Thomas look incredible. But if the functions and play functions and how the line works together as a whole doesn't work, then it sucks. I don't care how it looks. So here we go. My goodness. So another perfect box opening. There's James's box. As always, the Thomas & Friends logo available on YouTube Kids. Very excited for the reboot. Hopefully it's good. One last look at the James box. Okay, and now we are moving on to the actual engine. Oh my gosh. We're going to go down onto the other tripod to take a look at it. But wow. So we are back onto the other tripod, down at the turntable here, and here is the brand new James. Oh my goodness. Now, I remember reviewing the 80th anniversary James on the channel last year, and that James sucked. That James was trash. That James had the all engines go tender. That James had the ugly CGI series face. That was the garbage push along range, and now we have a brand new Metal James 1 year later, and it's such an upgrade. My goodness. So I guess we'll start in the front here and make our way back. So here's James's face. My James has good printing, so that is a good thing. So he's got brown eyes. As you can see, he does have a nice lamp there. The die-cast lamps, as I mentioned before, are much better than the motorized lamps. So overall, the die-cast line is just, sorry, not die-cast, the metal line is just so much better than anything motorized that we've gotten. Taking a look at James, though, he's got that pointy nose now, which I do like the change of. I'm so glad we got rid of his round nose, his round face. If it's going to be CGI, I rather have this face. CGI James was just incredibly insufferable. and I'm glad we have a change. So very simple, nice smile. I like the eyebrows. They're printed nicely. Simple eyebrows. I'm glad we are back to this style of eyebrows, and I'm so glad we got rid of the thick triangle eyebrows. I'm glad we have normal ones now. I think the eyebrows were getting pretty bad on a lot of the merchandise, so I'm glad Mattel fixed them with the brand new reboot. The one thing I don't like, of course, is that the buffers are not painted. That's one thing I've really noticed with a lot of the merchandise, especially just the plastic. So the running board is plastic. And so something Mattel will do is that when there are separate pieces of plastic, they will not really paint the plastic multiple colors. If Mattel can get away with leaving the plastic just one solid color, they're going to take that shortcut and do that. They did that with the motorized engines. That's why there's just a lot of, especially with the motorized sets and a lot of the pieces of plastic, that's why a lot of the plastics don't have a lot of detail and color. That's why they have stickers, because Mattel wants to limit the amount of detail and paint they're using on these engines, on the plastic to be specific. So, front of James, no painted buffers. The magnet, of course, I love the magnets. Face looks great. I really am liking this brand new James look. Lamp looks good. Turning James to the side. My one gripe is that his funnel is way too short. The funnel, you can say, is taller than his gold dome, but it's not tall enough. The funnel's got to be much, much taller. His smoke box is a nice size. Overall, he looks proportional. He looks very good. So the funnel's just not tall enough. Then we have his handrails on the side there, along his boiler. James does have rivets. Sadly, I really am so sick of these rivets. They are so ugly. But thankfully, they're hard to see on this brand new James. Harder to see. Not very distracting, so that's good. He's got some rivets on his splashers as well. Now, James, of course, has a bogey, and here's how the bogey works. So it is screwed in by this triangle screw, and that is basically, that's basically it. So I really like the addition of this bogey here, and the small wheel set makes James incredibly accurate to how he is in the TV series. Let me flip James around and show you the bottom. Here's James with the Thomas ticket. 2026 Mattel. Made in Thailand. So there's the bottom of James. So moving down to James here, we have the gold dome, which looks good. Not much to say there. He's got his boiler stripes. Yeah, overall, James looks really good. Just the funnel. The funnel is really my main issue. And I'm glad they made his boiler a bit thicker, because if I had the trash 80th anniversary James, the boiler was way too skinny. Way too skinny. And so now this is a proper size for James. Overall, this James is just, it's an incredible upgrade. The boiler's thicker, which looks much better. He looks more filled out. It's very nice. So as we also notice, we have gray wheels on James, which is a big shame. I'm really not liking the gray wheels on all these engines. For example, Diesel has gray wheels. I'm really not liking the gray wheels. I think it's pretty lazy. Maybe Mattel just prefers to have gray in there instead of black. Like maybe Mattel just wants to have another color in there. But it really doesn't make any sense, because if I take, I'll put Diesel back, but if I bring out Toby has different colored wheels than both Diesel and James. Toby has darker wheels. Toby has the wheels that go on Toad, the brake van. But then we also have these gray wheels. So why does Toby get those wheels and everybody else has these other gray wheels? I don't know. It really doesn't make any sense. But other than that, James's cab looks good. It's a shame James could not have a physical cab roof like Thomas over here. For comparison, James has a painted cab roof and Thomas has the physical one, which looks much, much better. So that's a shame. I guess that's a gripe of mine with this James, but it really doesn't take away from him. The cab looks great, even without the physical cab roof. We have handrails, cab rails to get into the cab. Also on the tender, which is very nice. Overall, James's body looks good. Now we have, sadly, a factory error, or I don't know what else to call it, but I have some black paint splodged on my James tender on this side, which is a shame. By the way, the tender is plastic, not die-cast metal, so that's a big, big negative in my book. How can you really call it a metal release if, you know, a third of the engine is not metal? It's plastic. Now, also, we'll notice that this tender and the back of James's cab is connected by this hook. You can see a rod from James's chassis there that the tender is hooked onto, which I love. I love this. This reminds me of Ertl. Ertl tenders are attached to the engine bodies, and I think this is an absolute W. I am not a fan of take along or take and play. You have some nice releases, but I'm overall not a fan of it. That's why I don't own any of it. I don't collect it. I don't enjoy it that much, so that's why I don't own it. I don't buy it. So I prefer this. Much better. James's tender is attached. It's a much better toy, to be honest with you, as well. Much better toy. So the kids won't lose the tenders, because how many take along or take and play lots do you see online and the tenders are missing? Or, it's just nicer to have the tender attached. So that tender is not coming off. That's a beautiful thing. But again, the tender itself is plastic, which is a big shame. Take a look at the coal load here. To be honest, the coal load sucks. I don't know what happened. The coal load is actually pretty crappy. Like, let's be real. So let's compare the coal here. We have Thomas's coal, which looks very nice. There's texture to it. It has like a matte finish. And then look at James's coal. It's all shiny and just looks like crap. And you can actually see some like red paint. There's a better angle. You can see the red paint underneath James's coal load. That is really disappointing. Wow. So that's a shame. The coal load sucks, and you can see the red paint from underneath it. We should have gotten this coal that's on the Thomas. Wow, that's a shame. That's not good. What else here? Back of James's tender. That's what this looks like. No painted buffers, no lamp. There's the other side of James's tender. Yeah, again, I don't like the bleeding of the red paint. You can see it again there. What a shame. So overall, I think the tenders are crap. The tenders are pretty crappy. So they're also way too long. We've already talked about this, but James especially, he's such a classic engine in Thomas and Friends, and to get the tender wrong, when it doesn't look like that on the render, by the way, it doesn't look like that on the render. His tender is the proper height in the TV show. You can see that right there. The tender towers over the cab like it should, because that's where the driver and fireman get the coal load from. And that's just how James looks. The tender should look like that, and you get the toy, and it doesn't look like that. So again, it's Mattel cutting corners, being cheap, being lazy, not wanting to make a separate tender for James that actually fits him. And they did this for all the tender engines as well, which is a big disappointment. But overall, James's tender is the worst part of the release. Yeah, it's plastic. And so I have some like paint splodging. Even on the corner right here, if you see that where my thumb is, some black paint splodge right there as well. Coal load sucks, gray wheels. Someone was like, it kind of looks like a Railway Series type tender, but even then it really doesn't. The tender's just not tall enough and it's too long. That's really all I have to say about the tender. The tender's not good. There's the cab. If you're wondering, can I stick a figure in there? It would just look really bad because the tender's just not tall enough. But overall, guys, James, I think the front half of James is fantastic except for the funnel. But then the tender is really bad. Really bad. But let me know how you feel about James's face. I really do enjoy James's face. So I guess now I should hook up. Guys, I'll show you this live on camera. Get the turntable here. So check out that scaling. So the Troublesome Truck is basically taller than the tender, which is a shame because it really shouldn't be that way. So yeah, you can clearly see the Troublesome Truck towers over the tender without the coal load. Take out the coal load and it's very obvious the truck is bigger. But overall, I think it does look nice. I really do love this die-cast Troublesome Truck. I love the face. I can't wait to pick up more die-cast merch. The metal line is by far the best 2026 merch. And it's by far the future of Thomas and Friends, I think. I think we really have to get away from motorized plastic slop. And I think we have to stick with the metal line because the motorized is just an utter failure. And so I'm very happy. Look at this little setup right here. That's pretty dope. So overall, very happy with this James. I'm glad I got him. It's just that the tenders suck. And if Mattel would have actually tried, like they did with the motorized, you know, not giving engines their separate chassis, not giving these engines their separate proper tenders, it's just the laziness is still very evident from Mattel, which is a big shame. Because we almost had absolute peak merch. We almost did. We finally fixed James's ugly face, got rid of that ugly CGI series face. Finally got a fresh new look for James, and it's ruined by the tender. But overall, actually, let me get a piece of Wooden Railway rolling stock out real quick. I am back, and I have the Tidmouth Milk Tanker and the Troublesome Brake Van, two very classic pieces in Wooden Railway. Hooking them up to James, doesn't that look fantastic? The brand new James with a nice little freight train coming out of the sheds. So overall, guys, let me know your thoughts on the brand new James. I think it is a overall W. Anything over that 80th anniversary James, anything over the CGI series James. Look at that. So guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Be on the lookout for my next review, which will be on the brand new, I think I'll save Henry for last. I'll review the brand new Gordon next, the 2026 Metal Gordon. He is up next. Let me know your thoughts on this James down below and all these future diecast releases. Also, let me know, do you think, should they cancel the motorized line? I think the motorized line needs to be canceled. We have got to get rid of it. It sucks. It's not good. But guys, thank you for watching. This has been my review on the 2026 Metal James, and we'll see you in the next one.